So, patch notes dropped, which is usually quite interesting. In this case, not all that much. I'm obviously not going to go over everything. I'm mostly going to go over the things that I find interesting and are relevant to Poison Seismic or other things that I'm actually interested in playing. Most notably, pretty much anything else except for Poison. I don't see has seen any changes, so everything is pretty much fine, right? But let's go over the points that I find interesting. I do like Expedition a lot, and obviously we have seen this before. People talked about it. There's like a new node that you can have like a single big explosion instead of doing the chaining things. That might be actually really interesting because you just put one big explosion thing like into the middle, right, of your expedition, and you're done. So it's gonna give you all the modifiers at the same time, which is interesting. So everything is affected by everything. That's kind of cool. So you don't need to look out for what do you take first. That's really cool. Depends a bit on how big the explosion actually is, and probably also depends largely on the map you're on, right? If you're like on the toxic sewers, it's not that great. It might be better on a more open map layout, and then we gotta see how it feels and how it is. Obviously, you run into the issue that you cannot really dodge immunities anymore. I mean, you can, but then you're not putting it into the middle anymore. So depending on what your build does or doesn't, you might brick some of them. Just have to try that. Might be a really cool thing to take, even though if it's overall not better to take it, it might still be worth it in terms of just sanity, right? I mean, it's fine if you just brick X amount of expeditions because there's like, I don't know if you're playing Chaos, there's like a chaos immunity in that. And I mean, I don't know, the cost and opportunity thing, I have to try that out. I'm kind of looking forward to that because that would be like my perfect expedition experience, like run up to it. I'm already not really reading them and just plug something into the middle, kill it, be happy, have everything spawn at the same time. Might be a really cool way to play it, even if it might not be the most efficient way to do it, but a very, very interesting one. Forbidden Sanctum actually have like this super off screening. I don't entirely know how 100 units, how far 100 units are, but just like a little PSA, right? You can, if you go into the Sanctum, you might have issues with like completely off screening the monsters and the encounters. Might be relevant for trappers, or anything else that is like hiding by doing that. That's interesting. There's no longer unique maps on the Explorer Scouting reports, the correct ones, and I believe these are, I actually looked it up, these are the very default ones. So quite a nerf possibly in terms of randomly getting rare unique maps and getting completion in there. So that's a bit of a bummer, but that's okay. Probably fine. Where did I scroll there? Perfect. There are no longer additional Val items from corrupted map bosses. Don't think that's all that relevant, but it should lower your Aziri items. You should get less of them now, which is a bit sad because you can use them, to increase. I think it's quantity, whatever it increases. So you should get some less of them by now. If you're running corrupted maps, that's at least what I can see from that change. There's map sustain changes. Like, if I did the math, I don't think it's gonna notably change anything in terms of map sustain, and there might even be a slight buff to connected maps in total now. So yeah, I have to see how that works out, but I think it's fine. It seemed fine to me. There are Legion changes, XP changes, on how that works with these 5-way rotations, basically for leveling that we used. I'm not qualified to judge how it works now, but just in case you're planning on using 5-way rotations to boost your leveling, which I typically do, honestly, pretty much every league. So you have to look out for that. Maybe look up somebody that really understands that, and I'm pretty sure people are gonna make content around it and explain it. Just look out for that and have a look into that if you're planning on using that, if it's still viable or not. There is a change to the +3 max Fire Cold Lightning resistant, so that doesn't exist anymore on shields, which is a bit sad because I really like that on a bunch of builds. That's fine. Obviously, poison got nerfed again. It's pretty much the only thing that seriously got nerfed, but yeah, why not? So yeah, I have to figure out how exactly it affects, and we can just wait for POB update, which should be so quick this time, because there was almost no changes. So really looking forward to that. So yeah, temporal change got a heavy nerf. Probably still gonna use it. It's just a duration nerf essentially on poisons. So yeah, got nerfed. That's fine. Veiled modifier. That's the one that gives you the focus mod. That increases the duration of elements. That one just got cut in half, and that should affect the diadem, the boring diadem as well. So that one got really nerfed again. That's like looking at I just looked at a more endgamey kind of POB and playing around with the changes there. It looks like I mean, on the specific one, 15-16% damage nerf, and might make, I mean, definitely makes the crafted version pretty much useless by now, and maybe diadem is still fine if you want to go for that, but overall it feels like it's not worth it taking the diadem in that case. I mean, we have to figure out in the POB exactly, but probably diadem dead, which isn't too bad, honestly. I mean, yeah, it saves you, it has this energy recharge thing, but you can solve that on belt anyway, and it saves you points on the tree, by obviously with the how's it called? God damn it. Eldritch Battery, right? It saves you some points on the tree there as well, and I don't know, maybe it's still worth it. Probably not, because the element one is so much worse. But the other hand means you can just have a rare helmet, which is kind of better anyway. It makes everything easier, less pressure on your suffixes. So kind of fine overall. Poison damage nerf. In summary, I'm not worried about poison and any capacity just because of these changes. It's still super strong. It's just a bit more rammed. Damage was never the issue anyway. It was more the balance between damage and defenses. So okay with that. Really funny one. It doesn't really affect me because I didn't really care about this totem explode thing, and it's only for standard anyway, right? Because you cannot get that anymore in the new ones, but they actually changed the existing items, so I did find that very, very funny. And on a last note here, item filters. They changed some classes basically in there. Point is, your filter is gonna be broken. If I'm reading this correctly, all old existing filters are gonna be completely broken. So if you have like one that is not being updated automatically or something like that, look out for that, so you don't end up leak starting with a filter you always had, or you're just slightly adjusting them and then realizing it's completely broken. And then, yeah, you have to fix that on leak start. So it would be pretty sad. Don't do that. Just make sure you have a updated, accurate filter at the right amount of time, right? So gonna get to work testing things, choosing a leak starter, and also obviously updating the existing Poison Seismic guides. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend. Bye.